These boxes that I'm holding, like they're pizza boxes, they're actually binders with both of the documentation for both the LLCs I own. One of which I own 100% of, and the other I own 50% of. That one with my business partner Rafa. You might have seen him on the channel, but we run a mastermind a couple times a week, and that's what that one's for. I'm gonna show you how to get a LLC, and also, do you even need an LLC? Because I don't think you really do. But if you just want to see how to get one, we're going to do that a little bit on in the video. But we got to start off with step one, which is an LLC is used to protect your personal assets. You get sued, you borrow too much money that you can't pay back. With an LLC, in most cases, you're going to be able to protect your house. You can't lose your house, you can't lose your car if you get sued or that any of that stuff happens, right? That's the whole goal. But the problem is they cost money to start, and the bigger problem is I know a lot of you guys just don't have a lot of money. I didn't start with an LLC when I started selling on Amazon because I didn't even know if it worked. I didn't know anything about Amazon at the time. And if I started over again, I would probably start the same way until I got to maybe $5,000 a month in revenue. Then I'd be like, okay, now it's time to get me an LLC, and now I know this business is going to pan out. But until then, I wouldn't get one, okay? And the reason for it is because of the cost and the effort put in. You don't actually need an LLC to start selling on Amazon. You could start as what's called a sole proprietor, and a sole proprietor it's going to work very similar, from my understanding, for taxes versus an LLC versus a sole proprietor. It's just you doing business as yourself. Like you are the business. Like me, Adam Fisher, is the business, right? In a lot of states like Tennessee, where I used to live, you don't even need any paperwork to start as a sole proprietor. Literally, all I had to do was start doing business, and I was going to be just fine in the state's eyes and for doing my taxes. Is that simple, okay? And Amazon will accept you without a business, right? They're going to ask you for some personal information, whereas with a business, they'll ask you for the business information, but you're going to be just fine. And if you live out of the country, okay, the best example I have of this is my friend Yaniv. He lives in Canada. He has a limited company in Canada. He gets his money sent to him to his Canadian bank every month. That's it, dude. He doesn't have a business in the U.S., and from what I've heard, it doesn't make sense to have a business in the U.S. because it could just make your taxes a lot more difficult. And right, that's the last thing I want to do when I'm starting a new business. I live in like Morocco, is to start an LLC in the U.S. It's the last thing I want to do, and that's probably how it will play out. So when you start an LLC, you gotta pick a state to start one in, right? There's a lot of options to choose from, obviously. So for me, what I did is I went on YouTube and I looked up every lawyer I could find and what opinions they had on this, and every single one of them said the same thing. Start your LLC in the state you live in. It's just so much easier for taxes, and you'll hear some supposed benefits to starting in certain states, but they all said that this didn't pan out like that. Just didn't actually pan out like that. And so start in the state you live in. Now, for me, I lived in Tennessee at the time, but I knew like the second I got this business off the ground and I was making money, I was quitting my job and moving back to Iowa. So I started my business in Iowa. And that's where both of my, actually the second one started in a different state because it's co-owned. But my business is in Iowa, and that's exactly how I would do it again. Now, each state is going to charge you a different amount to start the business, which we'll talk about in a sec. Actually, let's just talk about it, right? First thing I need to mention, though, is yes, there is 130 countries you can live in to start selling on Amazon. So don't let that be your excuse, okay? You can live almost anywhere, and you can get paid out in almost any currency. There's a partnership that Amazon's made to help you get paid out in like almost every currency. So it's not as difficult as you think it is. So with that, where do you even get an LLC? Okay, so there's two options. One is the one I do, and that is you gotta go online, you find somebody who's gonna fill out all the paperwork for you. You pay them some money, they will make it easier for you, you just fill out everything on their site. Option number two, which I've never done, but some students in my course told me they did it and it wasn't too hard and it saved them some money. So you can decide. They actually went to their state website, filled out the information, the LLC application on the state website, And then they went to the IRS and they fill out the information there to get what's called an employer identification number. You absolutely have to have one of these to do literally any business, because you're going to need it to file your taxes with the IRS. And on top of that, I mean, everybody's going to ask you one, right? Because at the end of the year, Amazon is going to send a little note to the IRS that says, hey, just so you know, Adam sold this much information, this much money. You should be getting taxes on this much. And they're also going to send me another form that says, hey, you sent this much on Amazon, so just so you know, you got to pay taxes on it. And we told the IRS this. Without the EIN, they cannot do that for your business, okay? It's different if you have a sole proprietor, but you're going to need an EIN for your business. So with that, let's go show you how I got mine. And I use this company called Incfile. There's other websites out there. I tried LegalZoom at first. It was going to cost me 2 to 3 times more to do it on LegalZoom versus this website. That's why I ended up here, and I've had a good experience twice. So what I do, let's take a look here. I'm going to form an LLC in my preferred state, which is Iowa. You can see here that I always pick their gold package. It's $149 plus the state fee. The state fee, guys, is non-negotiable. Whether you go do it on your own or not, like, the state wants some money to do all the paperwork and set you up officially. Some states like Iowa, it's super cheap, 50 bucks. Some states like California, aka mostly California, are incredibly expensive. I think it's like $800 a year to maintain an LLC in that state. So yeah, it's a much harder decision if you live in a state like California versus Iowa. So the reason why I always get the gold package is because of this one thing we already talked about, the EIN. Let me find it. Right here it is. No, that's not it either. Gosh, I am so blind, kids. Here we go, the EIN, okay? You need to fill it out with the IRS. They'll go do it for you. It costs you an extra $70 in the silver package, which is why it just makes sense to do the gold one. Very simple. You just click get started. You're gonna fill out your information. One thing I need to explain is what a registered agent is, because it's part of how an LLC works. A registered agent, okay? Let's just say that you get sued for some reason, okay? We're talking way too much about getting sued. I don't want you to be worried that that's likely to happen to you. Statistically, it's really not. Yeah, so a registered agent, if you get sued, they have to be somewhere where they can serve the lawsuit to you, a physical person. So there needs to be, by law, somebody who they can, that's at a physical location that you specify during business hours, normal business hours. And so what happens is Incfile will give you that for free, okay? They will have somebody at their offices take care of that for you for the first year. Actually just coming up, I need to renew mine pretty much now, honestly. They just sent me an email about it. Okay, this is why things were so expensive from like LegalZoom, because they want to charge me $200 for this, even though it takes no work from them. Because unless you're getting sued, it takes no work. So, and I've not been sued. It's good news. So click get started, do it. Those are the two options, guys. If you do use this, please use the link in the description. Okay, it is an affiliate link. Guys, I'm not here just to make money on these videos, right? But I got a lot of questions about this. If you want to see more in depth about LLCs and even more in depth about selling on Amazon, I do have a course. It's the first link in the description also. I'll see you guys in the next video. I hope this was very helpful. Let me know if you have any questions about LLCs. I will try and address them in the comments to my best of my ability.